One of the main reasons defense is so hard in this year's game is because of the pretty weak stock pass rush. So we have to take matters into our own hands. In this video, we'll go over what I think is the easiest and most consistent blitz in the entire game with Sam Mike 3 press in nickel 3-3-5 odd. I went over this blitz briefly at the end of last year. Not too much has really changed in this game, but I know a lot of you weren't really playing 21 at the end of the year, so here is your chance to learn about this fantastic play. Now, there is a disclaimer, although the blitz itself is really good, it can be run as a creeper pressure with only 4 rushers. At the end of the day, it is just cover 3 behind it, so this is a coverage that I don't really believe in. So you'll see here that I was still conceding 10.9 yards per play with it. But if you're good with cover 3 and you know how to scheme around it, you know how to use her in it, you know how to get the right personnel for it, I think this is one of your best bets. Or even if it's just a 3rd or 4th down surprise call, I think it's something you'll definitely want in your back pocket. So you want to find 3-3-5 odd, which is in Ravens, Dolphins, and a variety of other playbooks. And again, the play for now is Sam Mike 3 press. Although we'll show you also the man coverage version in Sam Mike 1, and then there's also a way you can run it in some of these 3-4 sets. But for now, Sam Mike 3 press, and we'll just go against Gun Bunch. Okay, before we show it, really quick, I'll tell you what I like about it. Number 1, so the guy blitzing is the Will linebacker right here. So you have your 3 down linemen, you have your Jack, and your Will. And what's really good about this is what I found is no matter what formation, they're in the right spot already. You don't have to worry about, a nickel being out too wide to the field or a safety or somebody being out of position. You don't have to worry about moving anybody manually. It's all set up. And in fact, you can almost run this just like this. Just run press play and it'll go. But there are ways that we can make it better. And I think what's nice about it, it's adaptable both in terms of how you align things, how you send the heat, and then even a little bit in terms of coverage as well, although there's only so many interesting things that you can do with cover 3. And then again, it's consistent. I think it's one of the best blitzes in the game. It's consistent in terms of against just a regular 5-man blocking scheme. It's going to come in if they do any sort of sliding or IDing. It won't do anything. The only thing they'll have to do, the only thing that they can do to block this is to bring a back into the mix. Although even sometimes with that, it won't be good for them. So right away, I'll just show you just stock. Sometimes it can just come in. So I'll show you how that Will loops kind of between the guard and the tackle. In this case, he kind of took too wide and it took him too long, but he got the sack. To make it better, right away, you can just contain. I think that will give him a clear path between the Jack and the defensive end right there. So he doesn't really loop around that guy. It's just that sometimes, like you saw right there, he can get picked up by that guard. So some things I like to do in terms of adjustments is I'll just shift the D line away from the Jack, which is this overhang guy right here. And what you'll notice here is that now you pretty much have a 4 down under front. And again here, I'll just go ahead and contain. And with this setup, he almost always, maybe 99% of the time, he's just gonna come in free. Even with the back kind of muddying things up, he comes in pretty clean. The other thing you can do is just pinch the defensive line. So again, this gives you a little bit more room between the Jack and the weak side defensive end right here. What I like about this is that it's a little bit better against the run. So if you're expecting run, now you have kind of this kind of mint tight front type of thing where you have 2 guys in the B gaps, you have your nose, and then you have, it's kind of like a 3-4 essentially what you're creating here. And it's much better against the run, although this guy is pinned a little bit inside, so he's not going to be good as containing. So, once that blitz comes through and your opponent feels the heat and they want to escape the pocket, they're more likely to be able to do it this way. And mind you, even with the underfront setup that I showed you previously, even that's a little bit iffy just based on the state of contains in this game. Anyway, so tight front right here, again, I'll contain. It doesn't show it in the play art, but I am containing. And then again, the back kind of muddies things up on his release there, but we're still coming in free for that sack. But I think by and large, at least for me, what I'm doing is I'm sliding away, creating that underfront, containing, and it's right there. It's set up. We don't need to move anybody around. We're just good to go. Maybe you want to be on your 3-rec, try to use her around. And then, if they do any sort of, say, sliding, so let's slide towards the blitz. The Will is already ID'd, but maybe let's ID, let's ID the Jack right here. And you'll see, again, that guard is just stuck. In this case, we had a weird pass off, so even when weird things happen, good things happen. Now what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna get the back out of the way a little bit more. I don't know why he's taking that weird release. So I'm just gonna swing him here. I'm gonna go back to that under front setup. So shift the line away from the jack, contain, and then I will slide towards the blitz with defensive line, and then I'll keep the will ID'd in this case. And then I'll go ahead and snap that ball, and you see again, there's just nothing they can do about that. Nice for us. Now again, the simple thing for them to do is just to simply block the running back, and I think that's pretty intuitive. But going back to what I said at the very beginning of the video, I think this is really, really good at on third or fourth down when they're not expecting it and they're not thinking about blocking the running back, and then you'll be good to go. And I think in general, people are a little bit confident in their offensive line in the last few years. Blitzes haven't really been able to come in, especially from a look like this where you don't have anybody mugged up or anything like that. So it's not really obvious that the pressure is coming in. So I think you can be pretty safe to do that, but just to show you in this case, so we'll block the running back, and you'll see that he's able to, actually in this case he wasn't able to pick him up, but I would say the majority of the case he does actually pick him up. I think if you are, if you're coming up against an opponent that's really good and they're really good at stepping up in the pocket, I think it's less likely that that looping blitz will go around the back like you just saw there. If it's one of these guys that really backs up, trying to buy themselves some time, then it's much more likely that that blitz will come through. But it's still a little bit of a random game in terms of the black blocking. One thing that I noticed that would increase your chances of that blitz coming in, for whatever reason, I don't know why, and I didn't really do any testing, but I just get the sense that it does do better, is I'll still shift into this underfront, I'll do the contain, but in this case I'll spread my linebackers and I will pass commit. So I think that allows for a bit of a more exaggerated loop and just a little bit more consistent in terms of that guy coming in. So in this case, he got picked up. I was a bit of a statue in the pocket. I still got the sack. But if I were to do this over and over again, and obviously I won't do that for this video, I do feel like this setup where you're sliding away from the jack, you're spreading the linebackers, containing and pass committing, I do think it's a little bit better in terms of getting around that back. As you see, he takes this exaggerated loop and gets in at the quarterback. So that's all well and good. For a second here, let's just go back to a 5-man pass protection right here, just so I can show you how we can turn this into a more of a simulated pressure. So we're gonna do the exact same thing right here, do the shifting, the containing, except this end right here isn't really necessary, so we can actually just drop them off into a hook. A vert hook is a great option here because it gets into that seam window where people like to throw hitches and curls and things like that. So we can go ahead and do that. And let me just go ahead and get off him here. Now, again, 5-man pass protection, but in this case, we're only sending 4 rushers, and you see that we are, again, good with that blitz. Okay, and if you don't like cover 3 or you just want to switch it up, play a little bit of man, there is the man version as well. Things are the exact same right here, just that the coverage behind it is a little bit different. So, you could put all your best man corners over there. Maybe you want to use this guy right here and really get in their face just to delay their opening a little bit, really jam them at the line. This is especially great like in this area, kind of 20 or 30, where you can't really get bombed over the top. And then if you press them, shade inside, it takes a while for those receivers to get open, and it just gives you more time for that looping pressure to come in, which is nice. So those are the setups out of nickel 3-3-5 odd. If you want to, for whatever reason, run this out of a more base front, like 3-4, you can go into, say, something like 3-4 over and find something similar. So let me just cycle through here. Yeah, Will Buck 3 press is pretty much the same blitz, except you're replacing your nickel Sam with a Sam linebacker. And I think you can find this out of a few other similar fronts, like 3-4 Predator. I think there was one that works. I think even 3-4 Odd has one. But here in Ravens, 3-4 over has it. So we'll go ahead and call that, and then just go back into gun bunch. And then same thing, we'll just shift away from the blitz. We'll just contain. We're just shifting away so we get a little bit more room between these two guys right here. So we have a more of a clean rush lane, and we'll go ahead and snap that. The guard kind of gets hung up with that defensive end, and the will just comes through. Okay, and that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for sticking around till the end of it. I know some of these details might not be super necessary. It's really just about running that main one in a nickel 3-3-5 odd. The setup is simple. It's simple. You just take it, you run it. Should be successful for you. But if you want to do some of these other things in terms of running it out of man coverage or 3-4, that's what the rest of this video is for. There are ways that you can get this to work out of even fronts too, like nickel sets, but you need essentially an extra gap. So you need an attached tight end or an inline tight end, and then what you'll do is you'll blitz one of the linebackers, and it'll work pretty much the same way. The reason why this really works is that I think it's confused a little bit right here. I think it thinks there's an extra gap, and you're allowed to, you're essentially having, like, I think that they think that there's an inline tight end right here by the left tackle, and then this guy's coming through between the tight end, the phantom tight end, and the left tackle. And that's why nobody really picks him up right away, and that's why he's able to take that really exaggerated loop and come in completely free. So in this case, we'll take that kind of glitch with this kind of legacy cover, this legacy formation, but there are ways that you can do it out of even fronts too. You just need that tight end attached. I'm not going to show it here, but it's just something there if you want to dive into it and you're curious. But otherwise, that's it for this one. I think we're going to be focusing more on defense over the coming weeks, unless the patch is so drastic that it shifts it all the way over where now offense is difficult. But for now, we're really going to be focusing on D. So we had the blitz here. I think I'm going to do a very interesting user rush type of video later this week. And then if you haven't already, definitely check out the YouTube membership. We've done just one video so far for Madden 22, but we'll be doing videos every 2 weeks as time goes on. That's where I'll be doing my ebooks, and that's where I'll be doing really my most in-depth content. I think the next one I'll do is defending gun bunch with quarters. I think there's a few really important adjustments if you want to run quarters against bunch, which I think is really the only defense you can run against gun bunch. You can't run man, you can't run zone, you have to run something a little bit smarter, and we'll help you guys go through that in those videos, which will likely be next week, although likely be early next week type of thing, because there are some very interesting things there. Anyway, that's it for this. I hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys have some success with it. Hope you guys have a little bit more fun on defense, and we'll see you guys in the next one.